Hello. So today I want to talk about the outrage economy. It's a very selective memory and why we see a lot of double standards. So I recently came across the story about Timothée Chalamet, who's facing a lot of backlash after saying that no one cares about ballet and opera. And he said that during an interview or conversation with Matthew McConaughey. So now, for context, when it comes to pop culture, I comfortably live under a rock. But this one caught my attention. And there's a reason why it caught my attention, because I don't have particularly strong feeling about ballet or opera, even if I enjoy it quite a bit. But because it highlights some things that, has been bothering me for quite some time, that very unrealistic expectation we place on young, successful artists. And apparently in that context, the comment made by Chalamet sparked enough outrage that some believe it was the reason he didn't get the Best Actor Oscar for Marty Supreme. Just that, actually, I found it quite fascinating. So there is something that I really want to say, is that fame doesn't equal wisdom. So what if we were to simply look at these individuals for what they are? Young people, inexperienced, that are frequently uneducated outside their craft. Why do we expect them to be eloquent cultural commentators, moral compasses, flawless public figures, on top of being excellent at what made them famous in the first place? They're not philosophers, they're not policymakers, they're not your local elected officials. They are artists. And like most people in their 20s or 30s, they will say things that are clumsy, provocative, ill-informed, or simply wrong. The big difference is that most of us are lucky enough to do that in private. So there is that double standard that we don't really talk about, and that really puzzles me, is the scale of the reaction, because we seem to be extremely tolerant of far more consequential missteps, especially when they come from people in actual position of powers. Remember Tony Hayward, who was the CEO of BP, and during the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill said, "Oh, I'd like my life back." Well, actually 11 people had died, and the environment disaster was, unfolding and massive. And yet the comment was criticized, but it never reached the fever pitch of outrage we now routinely direct at these celebrities for, let's be honest, trivial remarks. So we are harsher on 20-something actors for a comment that on leaders whose words and actions have real-world consequences. I mean, listen to the news every day and what is said by CEOs, head of states, and other officials. I mean, these are people who are in their 60s, 70s, who have tremendous power, and this is stupidity all day long. But we seem to have high tolerance for that, more than a 30-year-old actor talking about ballet or opera. So, and there is another layer to it that I think is super important for us today. And it's this idea that the second someone becomes a celebrity, we seem to expect perfection. But again, many of these individuals are very young. They are thrust into global visibility overnight, and they're surrounded by pressure, manipulation, constant scrutiny. And somehow we expect them to navigate all of this absolutely flawlessly. I mean, who among us would do better under those conditions? I'm fairly confident that I would not. And I'm not 22, and I'm not under a global spotlight. So, this outrage is very, very selective. And I'm pretty sure that many of the most vocal critics haven't attended ballet or opera in years, if they've ever had been, let's be honest, have very conveniently, forgotten the things that they said themselves or did at the same age, and they would fiercely defend their own children for similar or worse mistakes. So we extend grace closer to home, but we withdraw it entirely when it's public. So what is it really about here? To be clear, for me, it's not about Timothée Chalamet. You know, I haven't seen Marty Supreme. I don't follow the Oscars. I really don't I don't care. But this is about something broader, and frankly, that is more concerning. The pressure we place on young public figures to be everything all at once, while holding others to far lower standards, despite far greater responsibility. And we've created an environment where visibility is mistaken for authority. It's not because you're Kim Kardashian that your political views matter. You know, maybe you're great with your makeup, whatever, but it's not because you're visible that suddenly you're an authority in every topic in the world. Again, this idea that success is equated with wisdom, I think we see very well that it's not the case. And this idea that imperfection is treated as failure. Of course, people, you know, will make mistakes, stupid things. I mean, that's the reality of life, you know. So I have a bit of a proposal, which is, what if we were to recalibrate? Less outrage for inconsequential comments, but more scrutiny where it actually matters. And perhaps, just perhaps, a little more grace for people who are still figuring out things in public. Because if we're being honest, the real issue is not what is said. The real issue is that we choose to care about it. And that is definitely more scary. So thank you for being here. My name is Peggy Van de Plassche, and I hope to see you again next week. Have a great day.